This is a short presentation to look at our changing UK demography. We'll be looking all about our changing population structure and investigating why our society is gradually getting older. This is part of the UK in the 21st century unit. Ageing population means that the number of people within the UK over 65 is increasing. The data shows that within the next 50 years, there will be over 20 million more elderly, and proportionally by 2066, over a quarter of the total population will be classed as old. Currently, life expectancy is 81 years for women and 76 for men. By 2066, general life expectancy for you could be even higher, increasing the number of elderly even more. If you look at the population pyramid with the charts, above the red line, you can clearly see that the proportion of population has been increasing over time because the size of the bars are much wider. Pause the show and ensure you correctly know what is meant by an ageing population before moving on. There are several reasons why the amount of elderly in the UK is increasing. Generally, people are living longer in the UK. This is partly due to greater medical advances. Medicine is allowing us to overcome diseases, and the NHS can now replace lots of body parts, helping us to keep going. Research has also informed us on how to become centenarians, informing us on how best to live our lives so we can be fit and healthy in a ripe old age. Also, since the UK birth rates are dropping, because we generally want or need fewer children, then this actually reduces the proportion of young in society, therefore increasing society's overall age structure. Pause the screen and ensure you know a bit about the causes behind our ageing population. The elderly are not equally spread out throughout the UK. The core up left map on the screen shows the overall pattern in the UK. Generally, the darker the shaded areas on the map, the greater the percentage of elderly people living there. The elderly tend to live in more quieter rural areas away from industry. They go where they can enjoy the countryside. They choose to retire in pretty places that they had fond memories of visiting whilst younger on holiday. They also head to places that have a good reputation for providing elderly amenities. Many head for the south coast, such as Dorset, where it's pretty, drier and generally warmer, especially during the winter. Pause the show and note down where the elderly generally live. Having an increase in the number of elderly can bring a series of positive effects to UK society, as the screen shows. The elderly bring with them more experience, which can be used to help boost our country's wealth. More elderly are wanting to work longer and contribute more. Once the elderly retire, they also help in lots of other ways. They are often used as free childcare for their grandchildren, which not only saves their own children expensive childcare costs, but enables their grown-up children to go out to work and contribute to society. The elderly also, having more free time, are able to give more back to society by acting as volunteers to run charities or local events in their area. The elderly also are more likely to spend their savings and pension on leisure activities, which also again puts money back into society. Pause the show and make sure you've noted down the positive impacts of an ageing society. There are, however, some negative impacts that we need to look at with regard to having so many elderly. The equation on the screen shows us how the dependency ratio is calculated. It calculates how many dependents are supported by the economically active working population. The dependents are made up of the young and old who do not work and therefore require support and are reliant upon the working population, those that go to work and pay the taxes and help keep the economy running. If the dependency ratio increases lots, it puts even greater pressure on the working population, who will need to earn even more and pay greater taxes to support everybody. Although pensioners would argue that they have paid lots and lots of taxes whilst being economically active and working, pensioners are economically costly at times. They are given a pension each week, but it is expensive to take care of some elderly who may even require round-the-clock care. Care homes and sheltered accommodation cost lots of money to provide. Generally, The elderly require greater support from the NHS, which is a drain on the country's finances. The elderly may require more specialist transport provision since they are less likely to be able to drive when they get really old. It costs a lot more, therefore, to provide them with door-to-door services. Pause the show to make sure you have some notes on some of the negative impacts of the elderly. How as a country respond to an increasingly elderly population is very important for all of us, especially since soon you'll be part of the working population and you'll need to help pay for the increasing numbers of elderly in society. The government have already increased the retirement age and also increased the amount people are expected to contribute towards their pensions. The elderly will be encouraged to work longer and remain more economically active in the hope that this reduces the burden on the NHS and the taxpayer alike. More retirement homes and sheltered accommodation will be made to help cope with this growing demand of more elderly in society. The government may even encourage more younger migrants to arrive and work in the UK to help boost the percentage of economically active and money coming into the economy. Pause the show and note down some of the responses for an ageing population. Here we have an overview of this topic. This summarises the issues regarding the growing UK ageing population. Double check your notes that they match up with these. There is also a typical exam question which you might like to have a go at or think about based on what we have discussed here today. Remember that for evaluate questions you'd be expected to give a balanced argument and then a conclusion at the end as to whether you think the positives outweigh the negatives with regard to our ageing society in the UK.